What's up YouTube, Doe here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you another profile update thanks to Battles of Legend Monster Mayhem. Today it is the turn of Gem Knights. Now, Gem Knights are starting to get a little bit more heat. Now what I mean by that is, about a month ago, Gem Knights made it to the top 8 of the North American WCQ, which is an absolutely incredible achievement. Now when you're looking at Gem Knights as a very, very good aggressive option to be able to go into these new current time rules and end of match procedures, being able to OTK very easily, something like Gem Knights is a very good option. It's kind of giving Tenpai feelings. Now, I have deliberately not built this as a breaker version because what I don't like about pure breaker versions is, yes, they are incredibly good. They trade 1-for-1 going second every single time. But if they can't interact or play through a particular hand trap at the right time, then they don't really have much resource to fall back on. I've decided to have this as a Gem Knight with hand traps. It is pretty much a 50-50 split, but every hand trap I show you in this particular list can be subbed out for a breaker in its place, and I'll talk you through those options as well. On top of that as well, if you want to see a dedicated combo video for this deck and like 4 different combo options, then make sure you get the video above 50 likes in the first 24 hours and I'll bring that for you. With all of that out of the way, I'm just going to dive headfirst into the profile, show you what we've got and explain why we've got it. So starting off with our first Gem Knight monster, this is the most expensive of the new cards. So this is Gem Knight Nephirim. The reason this card is, and deservedly so, the most expensive card, I was able to pick these up at £10 a copy. If you move fast enough, you might still be able to do the exact same thing. So if this card is normal or special, you get to add a Gem Knight card from the deck to the hand, except itself. And then also any effect damage your opponent takes during the main phase this turn is half. Now specifically during the main phase, remember, very, very specific, as some of your cards will try to do that. And you need to remember, both if you're facing this deck or if you're playing this deck, that that is in phase. During your main phase, you can, immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a Gem Knight monster. If this card is sent from the hand or deck to the graveyard, you can send a card from the hand to the grave, and if you do, special on this card. You can only use each effect once per turn, which is absolutely insane because you trigger the effect, you get an additional normal summon of something like your Gem Armadillo, which I'll talk about in a second. But then for the pure fact that you just send a card, summon it back. Like, what more could you want from a card like this? It's just absolutely perfect. Then moving on to your other normal summon of the deck, we've got 2 Gem Armadillo. Now, I haven't tested it at free yet. I only picked up 2 copies, foolish me, 60p a piece, like absolutely crazy. So it's like 50 cents maybe $1. But when this card is specifically normal summoned, you get to add a Gem Knight monster from the deck to the hand. Now, in an ideal scenario, you probably want to be normal summoning off the Nephirim, but if you can't normal summon the Nephirim, you're going to be getting it to the graveyard, then bringing it back, and then doing the exact same thing anyway, and your additional normal summon will be your Armadillo. But if you want to increase your ideal starters in this scenario, probably playing 3 and 3 wouldn't be that bad of an idea. Then 3 of the Gem Knight Quartz. Now, with the Quartz, the idea is you're going to get more benefits going second. Now, what I mean when I've built this deck is I'm still going to be happy if I win the dice roll, I'm going to say that I'm going to go second. That's fine. I'm not playing breakers. I'm still going to be able to play hand traps to weaken my opponent's field and weaken my opponent's resolve. And then that kind of, the way that comes back to me is if my opponent is then able to stop me going for the OTK, which you're going to do everything you can to do, the only card that I'm not playing in the main deck that would probably help me do that is something like Sales Ban, which is something you can consider to put back into it. I will still have a fighting chance to then trade hand traps with them again during their turn so that it comes back to me and I still already have a field presence I'm able to continue to build on. So, 3 Quartz. If your opponent controls a monster, you get to discard this card to set a fusion continuous spell directly from the deck. You can't special summon monsters from the edge deck for the rest of the turn except Gem Knights. If this card is used as material for a fusion summon and sent to the graveyard or banished, you get to add a Gem Knight monster from the grave to the hand except itself. So that second effect you're going to be able to do regardless. It's kind of the first effect when your opponent controls a monster, you're going to get the most ability for it because that's going to get you direct access to, once I get to them, your Brilliant Fusion, which is going to give you an additional summon, and of course your Scatter Fusion as well. For the final Gem Knight monster, we are playing 2 of the Hollow Core. So you get to send a Gem Knight normal monster or a Gem Knight Fusion, which we are playing 1 Gem Knight Fusion, there we go, from your deck to the graveyard to special on this card from the hand in defense vision. When your opponent activates a card or effect while you control a Gem Knight Fusion monster, you get a quick effect to banish 3 Gem Knight cards from the grave, including this card, negate the effect. Gem Knight monsters you currently control gain 1,000 attack as well on top of the back of that. But the idea is you want to get this to the graveyard as soon as you possibly can before you get to your 5th summon because this is going to be your Nib Protector and then you're going to be able to try and set up other kind of interactions or other lines of protection to help you play through more interactions. Moving on to the spells, pretty much a custom card for this deck is 3 Gem Knight Dispersion. So you activate one of these effects, but you can only use each effect once per turn. So if you open up 2 copies, you can use the first effect and then you can use the second effect. So fusion summon a Gem Knight fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from the hand or field. Up to 2 monsters from your deck or extra deck can be used if they are non-rock gem monsters and you have Gem Knight fusion in your graveyard. So once you set that all up, you're going to be able to turn this into a brand new fusion. So then the second effect is add a Gem Knight monster from the deck to the hand or banishment to your hand, and also any effect damage your opponent takes during the main phase is half. So again, half, got to be very, very important on that one as well to remember that. Then for the one-offs, we've got the one Brilliant Fusion. So normally, for those of you that are unfamiliar with this card, because we weren't around during the Monarchs time, so when this card is activated, you fusion summon a Gem Knight fusion monster from the extra deck using monster from the hand, or from your deck as fusion material, but change the attack to defense to 0. If this leaves the field, destroy that monster, and then once per turn you get to discard a spell card. The monster special by this effect gains attack equal to its original attack and defense until the end of your opponent's turn. Now, less so you're going to be doing that effect, but more so the fact of just being able to fuse and get your Gem Knights from the deck to the grave. We've already kind of established what happens when Nephrim hits the graveyard. Then we've got the one Scatter Fusion. So during your main phase, if your opponent controls a monster, you get to fusion summon a non-rock Gem Knight monster from your extra deck using monsters from the deck as material. Also, you can't special from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except Gem Knight monsters. You can only use each effect once per turn. And then when this card leaves the field, destroy that monster summoned by this effect. Again, these are just cards that are justifying you going second, and I have no issue with you playing blind second OTK. I just like the option of maybe using more hand trap interactions that are going to be the most aggressive, which you'll see as we go through them, rather than breakers in the form of stuff like Dual Tactics Thrust, which rely on my opponent to do something, which they probably will, but you want to take out all of that control and rely on your opponent as much as possible. Lightning Storm, still an incredibly good option if you want to, but if you don't see it later games, it's just going to be completely dead. Then got the one Gem Knight Fusion. So send from the hand or your side of the field to the graveyard the fusion materials that are listed on a Gem Knight Fusion monster. Special summon that fusion monster from the extra deck is treated as a fusion summon. And if this guy's in the graveyard, you get to banish a Gem Knight monster from the grave to add it back to the hand, not a once per turn. Then for the breaker part of this deck, I'm playing free Droplet and free Book of Eclipse. Whether you count Book of Eclipse as a breaker or not is entirely up to you. This is your flex option. I still highly advise playing the free Forbidden Droplet as you get just a lot of advantage from it. But what I kind of ultimately ended with was with Book of Eclipse. I was like, do I want a card like Infinite Impermanence? Do I want a card like Lightning Storm? With those cards, they kind of don't do as much for me. Whereas what I like about Book of Eclipse, because I'm mainly a fusion-based deck, I can still activate Book of Eclipse to dodge a targeted effect on one of my monsters. I can still Book of Eclipse and set it if my opponent has made me go first. I can also utilize Book of Eclipse if I'm going second. I can utilize Book of Eclipse if I set up a field, my opponent stops me getting the OTK, and then I can Eclipse them during their turn. Like, it just has a bit more flexibility. Like with Imperm, yes, okay, I can set it and pass it, but I'm not doing a huge amount on it. And I just felt that Eclipse is a really good option. But if you wanted to be a little bit more careful with your combo-orientated routes, you can play free Salesban. Another note of this deck as well, of cards that you can play, I have chosen specifically not to, because at the time of recording this video, a ban is yet to drop, and I expect those cards could possibly be on it, and even if they're not on it, I still feel they're degenerate ways to try and play, so I opted not to play them, and that's Die Smasher, and I'm not playing the Protoss route. If you want to play the Protoss route or the Die Smasher route, you're more than welcome to do so. I just feel that Die Smasher is probably closest to the chopping block, and if Protoss does survive, this just very easily goes into the side deck, because it is just one of them ones that lets you be a little bit more defensive and a little bit more aggressive. We've got the one Call by the Grave, and then all of the hand traps that are to follow can very easily be subbed out for breakers, but as you are wanting to go second, I still advise you, if you have access to them, for free Perulia and free Fuelos. If you don't have access to any of these, take out 3 of them, replace them with a Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. It doesn't do the exact same job, but it still gives you that option to reset your hand a little bit, draw you some more cards, set you up with targeted protection, and it can give you a bit more resource. Then you would take out the other 3 for breakers. You have options of stuff like Raigeki, you have options of Dark Hole, you've got Ultimate Slayer if you can find the space in the extra deck, which is very, very tight, and kind of other cards like that. Then got free Ash Blossom to counteract your opponent's fuel losses or Perulias. Then I've gone with the aggressive option of the K9 package as a hand trap option. If you don't have access to these, don't worry. It opens up the extra deck by like 1 or 2 slots. You would take these out. These would then become free Ghost Spell. They could become 2 Ghost Ogres, 2 Ghost Spells. That's kind of where these are flexing as a hand trap. It's more one of the ways that I felt that these were one of the most aggressive hand traps we currently have in the format, because it sets you up with a disruption negation in the form of the Ripper, but it can also, if you have the space in the extra deck, work you into a Nash Knight. It could work you into something a little bit more disruptive, but I understand that this is a very expensive engine right now, so you take these out, and straight away, as already mentioned, Ogres and Bells, you're happy to rock and roll. I've then got 2 Nibiru and 2 DD Crow. Again, flex these up, change these up as much as you want to. You've got Draw and Lockbird to utilize if you wanted to, Infinite Impermanence, so you kind of have a bit more flexibility. You could play Bystials if the format required it or the environment required it, but I feel that DD Crow is probably more effective for that type of scenario. It just kind of comes down to the environment and adapting to what you have available to you. As long as you have the base core line of the Gem Knights, everything else from that point on is just very easy flexible. So going through the extra deck, I'll just go over the 2 targets off of the back of our Canine monsters. So we've got the Valon and we've got the Canine Ripper. So Valon is your Book of Moon, Ripper is your Negator. Very easily, you can take these out for, if you want to go down the Shadol package, you've got Construct as an option. You've got the Dogorad as another option as well. And then you also have the Gem Knight Lady Lapis as an option. Mainly going to be playing this with another Seraphonite if you go down the Dice Smasher route. But the other option, if you go down the Protoss route, is an Infernal Flame Banshee. So you open up a lot of space, you're absolutely fine. The only other XEs we play is the number 41 Baguska, the Terribly Tired Taper. Then for the links, we've got the 1 Donna Dagger Furhire. This is if your opponent Baguska's you have an out to it. You could play SP Little Knight if you wanted to, but the difference is with SP Little Knight, you kind of want to clear your field off, which is why playing the Canines can be a little bit risky. But if you're able to kind of navigate the field a bit, you might want to then utilize your Canine Ripper to negate and then turn your Ripper into the Dagger Furhire, trade your Dagger Furhire with another card, and you completely cleared your field off so you can start building up for your OTK. We've then got 2 of the Phantom Quartz. This card's crazy good now. So it requires 2 gem monsters. If it is link summoned, you get to add a Gem Knight card from the deck to the hand. You get to pay 1,000 life points to fusion summon a Gem Knight fusion monster from your extra deck by shuffling fusion monsters in your possession listed on it into the deck that are banished or in the graveyard. It can't attack directly this turn. Now, the fact that you pay 1,000 life points means pretty much nothing now, because the worst case scenario is Gem Knights play this during time, old time rules, you're low on life points, you lose, but very rarely that would happen. But anyway, that's how it kind of works. Then we've got the most recent Gem Knight Master Diamond Dispersion. Absolutely insane. Requires 3 gem monsters. Very important that you know that it says gem monsters rather than Gem Knight monsters, as you will have when the other fusion monsters that I go through in a second say Gem Knight monsters. So, during the main phase, quick effect, you can send this card from the field to the grave to special summon up to 3 non-rock gem monsters with different names from your extra deck and or graveyard, ignoring their summoning conditions. Also, for the rest of the turn, you can't special summon from the extra deck except fusion monsters. When your Gem Knight fusion monster is destroyed by battle while this card is in the graveyard, you special summon it. So the cards that this card will be able to spawn will be your Aquamarine, what is going on? Marine, Ruby, Topaz. Now these are your ideal ones you want to go for. You can also work your way into the Prismora, but we'll talk about that in a second because you can go to this different ways. So this will require Gem Knight Sapphire, Gem Knight Garnet, and Gem Knight Tourmaline, which you're never going to be using, so don't worry about that. Must be fusion summoned with the above fusion materials. It can attack. If this card attacks, it changes to defense position at the end of the battle phase, but mainly, more times than not, if it's sent from the field to the grave, you target a card your opponent tries and return it to the hand. The Ruby is once per turn you get to tribute a face-up one other face-up Gem Knight monster. This card gains attack equal to the attack of that tribute monster had on the field to the end of the turn, and if it attacks the defense position monster, inflict piercing battle damage. The Topaz is the one you're pretty much going to want to copy more times than not with your Brilliant Diamond. And this one allows you to make a second attack during each battle phase, and if it destroys a monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. So then we've got the one at Prismora. So as you can see, this one specifically says Gem Knight monster and a Thunder type. So it must be fusion summoned, and then once per turn you get to send a Gem Knight card from your hand to the grave to target a face-up card on the field and destroy it. So it's the trade-off, very discard and pop one. We've then got the one Lady Rose Diamond. The other one you can also bring out as well is the Seraphonite, but you shouldn't really be doing that. So this one just gives you the ability to get an additional normal summon set per turn. The Lady Diamond is once per opponent's turn. The first time a Gem Knight monster or monsters you control would be destroyed by a card effect, it is not destroyed. And then during your turn, when your opponent activates a monster effect, you get a quick effect to banish a Gem Knight card from the grave, target a face-up card your opponent tries and destroy it. Now that's only once, that's not even once per chain. So it's just when your opponent activates something, you go, cool, chain Lady Diamond. And then they'll go, okay, chain another card. And you go, okay, cool, chain Lady Rose. And you go, okay, cool, chain. You go, cool, chain Lady Rose. As long as you have enough Gem Knights to banish, you can keep going and going and going. The other lady of the deck is the Gem Knight Lady Brilliant Diamond. 3 Gem Knight monsters, so that's the big difference you need to be aware of. Must first be fusion summoned with the above fusion materials. You can only special summon it once per turn this way. You can spend 1 face-up Gem Knight monster you control to the graveyard, and if you do, special summon a Gem Knight fusion monster from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. Lady brings Master. Gem Knight, 3 Gem Knight monsters must be first fusion summoned. It gains 100 attack for each Gem Knight monster in your graveyard. Once per turn, you get to banish a level 7 or lower Gem Knight fusion monster from the grave until the end phase. This card's name and original effect become the same as that banished monster. So you banish the Topaz. This bit gets to attack twice, and obviously it would have gained attack stats as well. So you just go boom, boom, and off you go. So that's pretty much it for the entire profile. Side deck will really come down to the environment, but you'll be looking at stuff like Artifact Lancers. I would still advise, if you're building this like list exact, to play Fantastical Dragon Phantasma in the side deck. I still think it's a really kind of cool side deck option right now, this format. Then you also have options for, if you wanted to, you could go very aggressive and play the Gamma package. You'd play Gamma, Driver, and then you'd also play Delta is the spell one, because we're very spell heavy right now, this format. You've got Shaddoll Fusion you can utilize as another option instead of the Canine option, because you can play Shaddoll Fusion, you can play going into Construct, because you can send a light, being the Nephron, from the deck to the grave with your Shaddoll Fusion. You can also send a Dragon to destroy a spell or trap. You can go for a Beast to pop, a little bit greedy, you don't need to do it. You also then have the Genius, which will allow you to negate, and that is going to be an Earth monster. So you've got loads of different options you can play around with depending on what you're trying to achieve. It really does come down to what you have available to you. So that's it for the entire profile. If you do have any questions at all, by all means, please put in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them. For now, as absolutely always, smash the like button, get it above 50 likes, and I'll bring you a dedicated combo guide for this deck right here. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.